Have you ever felt it? That keen sting of being underestimated, the silent anguish of realizing your own might while others reject you as inconsequential. They assumed they understood you, didn't they? They were certain they had mapped out your boundaries based on their calculations, assumptions, and whispered intentions. They pretended that their plans, carried out in the darkness, would bring you down before the public even saw your potential. The surprise, however, is that you witnessed everything. Their motives were never kept from you. Every scathing remark, purposeful insult, every action intended to bring you down became fuel for a fire they were unaware was raging. They mistook your quiet for defeat. They viewed your forbearance as a weakness. What they didn't realize was that quiet often speaks louder than words, and patience may survive even the sharpest weapons. Then the inevitable moment arrived. The moment your carefully protected light bursts forth in splendor. Your might could no longer be denied, like the first rays of sunlight breaking through the darkness of night. Suddenly, the smug certainty in their expressions faded. Their measured movements, previously so sure, now felt like pitiful stumbles. The cords they had so carefully pulled broke in their hands. The shadows they cast to obstruct your way faded in the light of your truth. This is your story, a monument to perseverance, progress, and success. It's about the time they discovered their power was an illusion, and your future was never in their hands. This is not just a win, it is a reckoning. It represents the culmination of everything they undervalued and failed to see. This is your emergence into the light, a brilliant reminder to the world of what occurs when previously hidden talent comes through. Let us ponder on this moment. Let's own it, because now is the moment to rise. There will always be those who underestimate the potential of others. To them, your modest strength was invisible and undeserving of acknowledgement. They went about their lives with malice as their guiding, figuring their deeds had no consequences. You were, in their opinion, a little nuisance, a problem they thought they could simply ignore. But their hubris was their downfall. They celebrated their so-called successes prematurely, believing that their momentary advantage was permanent. They thought that their dominance was absolute. What they didn't see was your constant attention and silent observation of their games. While they relished in their perceived superiority, you were preparing, maturing, and waiting for the right moment. When they dismissed you, they sealed their destiny. They interpreted your stillness for submission, but it was actually a show of your power. Your patience, which they interpreted as apathy, was your approach. Every slight they inflicted added another layer of resolve, each step toward your metamorphosis. When the time was right, your strength, which had been fostered in the shadows, came into full light. Their ignorance led to their collapse. They thought they could control you, but they never realized the force they were up against. What they thought would be a transitory challenge became an overpowering presence. Their meticulous maneuvers broke beneath the weight of your truth. Now is the moment to celebrate your win and reflect on the gifts that have sustained you throughout. The strength you've demonstrated is a mirror of divine purpose, a reminder that even in the midst of hardship, there is a bigger picture at work. Your win is more than just yours. It demonstrates the power of faith, tenacity, and resilience. As you progress, consider how your experiences may inspire others. Share your narrative, lessons, and light. Take this opportunity to give back and contribute to something bigger than yourself. When you offer with appreciation and strength, you will get great gifts in return. Your donation creates a ripple in a larger ocean of change. Every gift, every act of compassion is an expression of heavenly riches. It's a way to express gratitude for the safety and advice you've received along your journey. Trust that your contributions, whether in the form of time, resources, or support, will benefit you in ways you cannot yet envision. Let this serve as a reminder: your strength has never depended on the acceptance or acknowledgement of others. It was always present, deeply embedded within you, slowly accumulating force. Your perseverance developed undetected, much like seeds put in healthy soil. Every obstacle you encountered, every moment of uncertainty, became a chance for progress. They believed their words could shatter you and their deeds could decrease your value, but their harshness just strengthened the foundation. What they perceived as victories were actually steps toward their demise. Your strength is evident today. The light of your truth has cast out their shadows, forcing them to confront the reality of their mistakes. They failed to see your potential, yet their ignorance could not prevent your success. This is more than simply a return. It is a change. The world now sees you for who you actually are, a formidable force, an unmistakable presence. You've accepted your authority, and there's no turning back. Their preconceptions about you were never accurate reflections of your value. They were a reflection of their own fears and restricted perceptions of strength and importance. They were unable to look beyond their anxieties, and in their arrogance, they discarded what they did not comprehend. But you were never intended to be limited by their perceptions. Their ignorance just accelerated your growth. You gradually and surely developed into the force you were meant to be. And now they have to watch as their illusions disintegrate and your light reshapes the world around them. This is your opportunity to shine, to stand up in the face of all that formerly held you back. Your trip demonstrates your inner strength and perseverance. Allow your narrative to motivate others to aspire, to trust in their own abilities, and to never allow others' doubts dull their light. Now, take the next step towards greatness. This is your time. The world is ready to see what an awesome force you have become. Something had changed in their reality. The conviction they had borne so firmly began to crumble, replaced by a slight but rising worry. They saw you as predictable and controllable, a figure they could shape and influence. But suddenly, they were confronted with a reality they couldn't accept or overcome. You were a force beyond their comprehension, far more durable and formidable than they had thought. Their confidence faded, disintegrating like a flimsy veneer. Their once confident laughter, haughty and contemptuous, sank to stillness. The security they had relied on vanished, replaced with a dawning realization of the severity of their error. They had spun a web of illusions, but those thin threads could no longer hide the unmistakable reality staring them in the face. The reality, long denied and suppressed, was bursting through their carefully crafted illusions. Your worth was never disguised. It was never remote or unreachable. Instead, there was a storm slowly amassing strength, intensifying with each passing instant. They had misjudged you, failing to see the extent of your perseverance. You were solid and unwavering, a presence they believed they could diminish. However, the power they had disregarded was now difficult to ignore. The repercussions of their conduct, which they had before dismissed without hesitation, began to weigh heavily on their minds. Every attempt to undermine you failed. The energy they used to hit you returned, intensified, and unstoppable. It was as if the cosmos itself had turned its attention to them, holding them responsible for their hubris. The delicate balance they thought they managed had collapsed, exposing them to the raw force they had rejected for so long. What they previously thought was solid ground beneath their feet collapsed into brittle dust. Their once easy cruelty, the cutting remarks, the planned jabs, now remained terrible memories. The ease with which they attempted to damage you had evaporated, replaced with a terrible realization of their mistakes. They began to understand the extent of their failure. You had climbed beyond their level, no longer clouded by their machinations. You'd evolved into a natural power, relentless and unmistakable, capable of defeating their worries and schemes. The power you demonstrated was neither unexpected or coincidental. It had been there all along, coiled and ready, waiting for the proper time to emerge. They misinterpreted your patience for weakness and quiet for acquiescence. But what they didn't realize was that you were never supposed to go undetected. The calm resolution they disregarded was always poised to charge ahead, unstoppable and overwhelming. Your strength devoured everything in its path, even the illusions they had created about themselves, like an inferno that appeared unexpectedly. There was no escaping this new reality. It encircled them, a constant reminder of the harm they had previously inflicted on you. Their desperation was palpable as they attempted to mend the damage, generating fake apologies and shallow words, in a vain effort to recapture what they had lost. Unfortunately, it was too late. Their remarks, once harsh and piercing, now shook with terror. Their optimism had dissipated into hollow echoes. They lost the power they felt they had over you, as well as their control. They were left groping at the shards of their broken plans, helplessly watching as you ascended above their reach. You now stood on higher ground, untouchable and unconcerned about their failed efforts. Their attempts to reclaim power were futile, and their reach would always fall short of the towering presence you had established. This was more than a personal victory. It was a safe haven for individuals who refused to be defined by mediocrity. You have built something exceptional in this area. It is a community designed for individuals who dare to strive for greatness and refuse to be limited by the commonplace. Here, you'll discover profound ideas and strong techniques for transforming latent potential into unstoppable development. Along with people who share your passion, you explore the ideas of self-mastery and resilience, preparing yourself to face any obstacle. This is an invitation to reach new heights, to connect with like-minded individuals who understand your path, and to embrace a common goal of greatness. Together, you investigate cutting-edge tactics that will move you forward, leaving behind the constraints that others attempted to place on you. Follow the link to secure your spot among the extraordinary, a group destined to climb above the ordinary. Long before their plans began, your intelligence was evident. Hidden from their superficial sight, your strength had silently grown, like an ember waiting for the ideal conditions to erupt into a roaring fire. They mistook your stillness for absence and misinterpreted your patience as weakness. All the while, invisible powers shielded and raised you, assuring that their attempts to extinguish your light would fail. Their petty and ephemeral activities could never influence the reality. The hands that had attempted to extinguish your potential now shook under the weight of their stupidity. Their perceived power over you dissolved, leaving them vulnerable to the force they had misjudged. The fire they fueled in hubris had now engulfed them, converting their fantasies to ashes. They thought they could play with the edges of disaster without experiencing its full wrath. But the storm they unleashed had its own course, and it has already eaten everything in its path, including them. The equilibrium they believed they controlled had altered, and they were forced to confront the repercussions of their actions. They had attempted to reduce you by cold calculations and purposeful actions to keep you stuck in their plans. To them, you were nothing more than an impediment to be overcome. But the universe had different intentions. Oh, the cosmos remembers. It observes, waiting patiently until the appropriate moment. The harm they caused has returned to them, intensified. There is no escaping this judgment. Their carefully planned escape routes have been reduced to ashes. The spark they sparked in carelessness has grown into a wildfire, burning them from inside. The depth of their regret is unavoidable. It wraps around them like a crushing grasp, tightening with each passing instant. The flimsy superstructure of their deception has fallen, exposing them to the full weight of the truth. Their once unwavering confidence has shattered, revealing the hollowness of their professed authority. Every action they made against you, every deliberate insult, now comes back to haunt them. Regret burns within them, a constant fire stuck in their center. Not only are the repercussions of their acts tormenting them, but so is the knowledge of their own hubris. They now realize that their decisions have led to their collapse. They believed they were untouchable, but their own arrogance has ruined them. The weight of their hubris crushes them, destroying all pretense and leaving just the stark truth of their failure. Your ascension was unavoidable. You were always meant for greatness, regardless of their plans. Their attempts to deceive you and dim your light were nothing more than temporary impediments on your journey. Now they must face the repercussions of their actions while you serve as a symbol of endurance and courage. Your quest begins afresh. You've climbed beyond their restricted view, confident in your own abilities. Let us work together to build something extraordinary, a legacy of power, ambition, and grandeur. The remorse that they are experiencing today is not momentary. It's a perpetual hurt, a reminder of the decisions they made and the strength they failed to see. It's your turn to shine. Subscribe today and join a community of remarkable people dedicated to transformation, development, and achievement. The voyage ahead holds boundless possibilities, and we will accomplish greatness together. They attempted to minimize something extraordinary, a power they didn't understand or respect. Now, the blazing light of truth shines mercilessly, revealing every concealed wrongdoing and exposing the entire weight of their actions. There is no refuge for them, no deep darkness in which to escape from the repercussions. This reckoning follows them through the silence of the night and the serenity of dawn, pushing hard on their hearts as a permanent reminder of their hubris and the devastation they created. The reckoning is relentless, like a shadow that refuses to disappear. It stays in every moment, hanging to them like an immovable load. Too late, they realized how much their hubris has cost them. The folly of their acts is now painfully obvious. Every attempt to injure or weaken you was guaranteed to fail because they were attempting to shatter something beyond their control. The fire they started carelessly has grown into a roaring inferno, devouring every lie they told themselves and left only the burning agony of their own foolishness. They felt they could create a storm, shape it to their liking, and emerge uninjured. But the havoc they caused has turned on them, unrelenting and unstoppable. The weight they once tried to place on you has gone full round, intensified and burning. They didn't only risk playing with fire, they got ensnared in the flames they created. Every premeditated insult, every disdainful remark they threw now reverberates with a force they never expected. In their arrogance, they believed that proximity to disaster would elevate them, that standing near the carnage they produced would make them invincible. However, their arrogance has come back to haunt them. The storm they created has now engulfed them fully, sparing no part of their life. There is no respite, no halt from the unrelenting barrage of repercussions. Regret has grown deep within them, nibbling away at every protection they ever counted on. Meanwhile, you've soared above and beyond their reach. You remain unshaken, your resolve blazing brightly against the backdrop of their demise. They are left alone to deal with the consequences of their own actions, unable to escape the unrelenting forces they unleashed. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace surround you today. I'm here to remind you of a timeless truth. Our lives are intimately intertwined into God's perfect purpose. The world's ephemeral concerns cannot dislodge this fact. According to Scripture, all we do with faith will result in plentiful blessings. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing, will be poured onto your lap. Luke chapter 6, verse 38. We are grounded on God's unchanging truth, just like a strong oak with deep roots. Every step we take and every position we take is backed by His power. Today, you have the opportunity to receive this benefit. When you utilize the Super Thank You button to contribute $100, your act of faith will be rewarded 100-fold, bringing riches into your life. Those who intended to damage you will eventually try to return. Drawn by the light you now emit, they will be plagued by the realization of what they attempted to destroy. Their sadness will simmer under the surface, like embers under ash. They will approach with well-chosen words, their apologies polished and practiced. However, underneath the appearance of honesty lurks desperation, not true remorse. They do not return to repair what they have broken. Instead, they seek sanctuary from the fires of their own making. They believe your light will alleviate their suffering, and that your presence will quench the fires that are eating them. But their appeals aren't about you. They're an escape from the consequences of their acts. They will argue that they had no intention of causing damage or leaving scars. However, their statements will sound hollow, and their motivations will be clear. They are not looking for forgiveness. Rather, they are looking for relief, a method to lift the load of guilt that is now weighing on them. You, however, see through their facade. The fact is clear, they have not changed. The recklessness they held before persists, waiting for the proper moment to flare again. Allowing them back into your life would be like bringing turmoil into the sanctuary of tranquility you worked so hard to establish. Their apologies may appear sincere, but the storm they bring is just as devastating as ever, veiled in phony repentance. Stand firm. The brightness you have fostered, the tranquility you have created, are not theirs to stain. They have no right to the strength you've developed or to enter the sanctuary of your resilience. Their desperation is not your responsibility to bear, and their faults are not yours to correct. Allow their fire to burn where it began, outside the boundaries of your serenity. They made their decision. Now they must face the consequences. The light they once attempted to extinguish is yours alone. It is impenetrable and unchanging, and they have no place in its radiance. They will claim to have changed and been transformed by the very fire they started. They will discuss lessons learned, progress, and humility. But underneath their polished phrases, the same anarchy smolders, ready to erupt again. Allowing them back into your life would jeopardize the calm and harmony you've fought so hard to regain. Protect your energy with knowledge. Protect the shelter you've made. Their reappearance is not intended to reconcile or reestablish trust. It is about taking what people lack, your power, brightness, and peace, and filling that vacuum inside themselves. They witness the resilience they once underestimated, and it makes them afraid. Their objective, however, remains unchanged. They come to take rather than contribute. You owe them nothing. Allow them to experience the consequences of their decisions, the pain of lessons evaded for so long. Their metamorphosis is a shallow one, with their true motivations hidden under phony repentance. The embers of their previous acts continue to flare, ready to burn again. Allowing them in would jeopardize all you've built: your light, tranquility, shelter. Stand firm. Their fire is theirs to bear. The repercussions they confront are their own, and they have no place in the world you've meticulously crafted. Their desperation is driven not by guilt, but by a wish to escape the unavoidable. The flames they unleashed has enveloped them, leaving them with no escape. This is more than simply sorrow. It is the inexorable burden of reckoning. A force beyond their control has exposed the truth behind their acts. The harm they caused and the lies they told have been revealed, illuminated by a light that they cannot dull or avoid. The universe observes and remembers. It never forgets the decisions they made, the shadows they cast, or the storms they caused. What they believed was unimportant suddenly reverberates loudly, far beyond their comprehension. The forces at work are far beyond their control, forcing them to confront the full extent of the fire they started. Let their fire be their own. Protect your light, peace, and refuge. The strength you've developed is a monument to your unbreakable and everlasting determination. You owe them no sanctuary or consolation from the repercussions they must now face. Let their reckoning teach them the truths they previously refused to learn, while you continue to climb, unshaken and bright. This is the reckoning they hoped to avoid, the meeting they feared, and there is no escape from its grasp. What they confront is not merely a moment of responsibility, but a powerful, unmistakable force of justice. This judgment is beyond human comprehension, far exceeding anything they envisioned or thought they could avoid. The illusions they created to protect themselves, the lies they relied on for comfort, have been completely dismantled. They are now exposed in front of a light that illuminates everything, a greater reality that sees through all facades. This is not punishment in the traditional sense. It's the whole weight of their acts coming back to them, unfiltered and harsh. The cosmos has unbreakable rules, and the balances of justice have finally moved. What they are currently experiencing is the inevitable outcome of the devastation they caused. The energy they invested in the world has returned, heightened and irrefutable. In their desperation, they may approach you. Their words will be carefully prepared, their movements subtle, and intended to appear genuine. Recognize their true goal, which is not an honest desire for reconciliation, but a desperate attempt to escape their misery. They do not seek redemption. They are looking for a safe haven, a means to alleviate the severity of what they are presently facing. They assume that your serenity, power, and brightness will provide them with a break from the firestorm they caused. They believe they may borrow the refuge you've created to protect themselves from the repercussions of their conduct. However, you must comprehend one reality with absolute clarity. The weight they face is not yours to bear. The fire that surrounds them was started by their own decisions, not anything you did. Allowing them back into your life would not offer healing. Rather, it would rekindle the devastation they had previously caused. Your tranquility, strength, and brightness are hard-won gems earned through perseverance and tenacity. They are yours alone. Those who attempted to dull your light have no right to retake their position inside it. Maintain this understanding. Their karma is theirs to bear, and their weight cannot be transferred to you. Reopening the door for them would not fix what was broken. It would risk ruining everything you've accomplished, welcoming back the same disaster you worked so hard to overcome. Protect your peace fiercely, since the chapter that involved them is ended, and it is not your obligation to restart it. The weight of their decisions falls completely on their shoulders. The laws of accountability are unwavering. No amount of regret or well-crafted apologies can get around them. They may approach you with promises of transformation, declaring that they have changed, but the fact is that their weight cannot be easily laid aside or passed on. They must pay their spiritual due in full. If you let them back into your life, their misery will undoubtedly permeate into your refuge. The delicate equilibrium you have painstakingly restored will be shattered. Their unresolved instability will destroy the tranquility you've worked for. Your development, ascension, and brightness are testaments to your resilience, and giving them up would imperil everything you've accomplished. The divine forces that rule the cosmos have already assessed their hearts, seen their behaviors, and reached a conclusion. Compassion and forgiveness cannot quench the fire that is now consuming them. It's the direct result of their own decisions. Only they can suffer it and learn from it. They are not looking for reconciliation. They are looking for relief, a means to escape the reckoning that has now engulfed them. They assume that your power and light will protect them from the storm they caused. However, inviting them back into your life would mean taking on a responsibility that was never yours to bear. This is not a punishment intended to injure children, but rather an important lesson. The heat people experience reflects their own goals. The reckoning they face will not end until they face the truth about their deeds. Your tranquility, light, and ascension are not for others to share. They are the results of your dedication, endurance, and faith. Protect them zealously. Their pain is an unavoidable consequence of their own decisions, and it is not your responsibility to interfere or relieve it. Allow them to confront the fire they started, while you continue to climb, untouchable and burden-free. This isn't retribution, it is about equilibrium. The reckoning they face is a manifestation of global justice, a force beyond your control. Their current path has been fully determined by their own activities and decisions. You have no duty to soften it for them. They must shoulder the burden of shame and remorse on their own. Opening the door to them would mean returning to the mayhem you had left behind. It would mean jeopardizing the refuge you've created, the progress you've made, and the tranquility you've regained. They have no claim to the light they attempted to extinguish. Your light shines brighter than ever, and it is not theirs to share. It is a force they can no longer approach without being faced with the reality of their own mistakes. Stand solid in your resolve. Maintain the clarity and power you've earned. Their attempts to return lack true change. They are motivated by desperation, a desire to avoid the repercussions that they can no longer ignore. They can no longer ignore the truth, nor can they take comfort in the strength they previously sought to reduce. You are now beyond their reach and must remain there. This is your opportunity to climb above the shadows of their blunders. Let their actions teach them the lessons they refused to learn previously. Allow your resilience to shine as a light for others on the same road of ascent. You're not alone. There is a holy community of others who have encountered comparable trials, a safe sanctuary for the steadfast and resilient. Embrace this place and your unique strength. Continue to ascend, continue to shine, and carry the weight of their decisions with them. They are facing their own flames. Allow them to bear it while you remain steady, unshaken, and untouchable in your light.